Hello, thanks for joining me. This is Jessie, and this is my channel, The Caffeinated Bookworm. So, my really quick Flustered Friday wrap up, and hopefully it is really quick. So, last Friday, I asked how many pages you thought that I was going to get through over the 3-day weekend, and I was hoping to actually finish Memories of Ice, which apparently was an amazingly lofty goal, because that didn't happen. I got maybe 50 more pages in, and that's the extent of my reading over Memorial Day weekend. We had a whole bunch of John's family over, and we were moving a little bit, and there was some other stuff going on, so it happens, right? So I have done much better this week. First of all, happy birthday to my son. I'm officially the proud mother of an adult human being. Hooray. So happy birthday, Nicholas. I love you. His birthday was actually yesterday. Also, happy anniversary, John. I missed it. He missed it, which is usually the case because Nick's birthday is on the same day as our anniversary. So this year I remembered it first, and I'm going to be the first one to say happy anniversary, John. We have been together 11 years. Also, happy birthday to my best friend, Carol. I am apparently not allowed to say how many decades we have been best friends for, as it is telling of how old we are, or older, because we were at an age where we could make best friends. But happy birthday, Carol. I love you and I miss you. Thank you to those of you who reached out to me and congratulated me on 100 subscribers. I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much. It means a lot. And also, I made the dean's list. I know it's not as big of a deal as I'm making it out to be in my head, but as someone who hit their 30s and just really gave up on the hope that I was ever going to go to college, and then started going to college 18 years after I graduated high school, it's pretty impressive to me, and so it makes me happy. So I have started a notebook to take notes about books, because I have as many books going now as I normally would during a semester at school. I have Memories of Ice going, which I did make it about like a total of 100 more pages in from the last time I updated you. So I am almost at that point where I can give you my 1/3 review. That should be coming shortly. I'm reading, Without Remorse. So Tom Clancy's Without Remorse. I'm reading Hyperion by Dan Simmons. I'm going to be starting the Green Knight, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, which Hyperion and Sir Gawain and the Green Knight are, those are buddy reads with David Wiley. So that's going to be fun. The last bookshop in London, I haven't made any progress on, and I did get maybe 3 pages into the book that I'm reading for the book club at work, which is I Am Watching You. I want to read to you a little bit from Hyperion. And this is just the first paragraph of the prologue, because I am absolutely in love with the book already based off of this paragraph. So here we go. There are some words I might stumble over in this first sentence alone, and hopefully I don't butcher them too badly. The hegemony consul sat on the balcony of his ebony spaceship and played Rachmaninoff's Prelude in C-sharp minor on an ancient but well-maintained Steinway, while great green saurian things surged and bellowed in the swamps below. A thunderstorm was brewing to the north. Bruised black clouds silhouetted a forest of giant gymnosperms, while stratocumulus towered 9 kilometers high in a violent sky. Lightning rippled along the horizon. Closer to the ship, occasional vague reptilian shapes would blunder into the interdiction field, cry out, and then crash away through the indigo mists. The consul concentrated on a difficult section of the prelude and ignored the approach of storm and nightfall. So we know how I feel about storms. So it had me at storms, but also just the mention of stratocumulus. Like, I absolutely love, like, I used to know the names of like all the clouds. It was one of those things I had obsessions with when I was younger, like tornadoes and ball lightning. But also, I know I mentioned earlier that or on a different video, I think it was the Wednesday video, that I was listening to the depressing and devastating soundtrack of Sons of Anarchy. Well, I have since moved away from that and back to instrumentals. So like Javier, Navarette, Clint, Mansell, Danien, Escobar. I'll post some of the songs that I'm listening to down in the description. But there's someone playing in a Steinway and they're ignoring a storm that's rolling in along with the lightning and the huge clouds. And then there's this surreal image that I have in my mind of things, fantastical beings kind of making their way through that. And we know how I love violent weather. We're going to make our way back to that here in a moment as I move on to some information from Tom Clancy's Without Remorse. Now, I am about to give some spoilers, and so if you haven't seen the movie or you haven't read the book and you plan on doing either one of those, you might want to stop or forward for the next couple minutes. So my brother-in-law gave me this book. John and I had watched the movie, and we recommended the movie to my brother-in-law because he's a Tom Clancy fan. And he said that after seeing the trailer, that it didn't look like the movie was based off of the book. As I've read the first couple chapters of this, I can understand where he's coming from, because the way that Kelly's wife dies in the book is nothing like Kelly's wife dies in the movie. And the way that she dies in the movie kind of makes the plot line for the movie. Because Kelly goes overseas, he extracts somebody, kills some people, I think they're Russians, and then he goes back and they follow him home and kill his wife. And so later on in the movie, like near the end, Kelly, and I think it's in this movie, Kelly steps into a burning car and makes this guy say his wife's name. And so it's completely different in the book here. Kelly, he knows what he does is dangerous. You know, obviously he does certain missions in the Navy, but that's not what happens to his wife. And it's dramatic enough in the book that I don't think that they needed to change it for the movie, other than to change the story in its entirety. So we've all seen it in movies. You know, there's somebody going through, you know, a traffic light and they get T-boned. Well, that's what happens here. And the truck driver even makes mention that the wife, you know, the woman in the car, which is Kelly's wife, she doesn't know what's coming because he sees her profile because she's looking straight ahead. She doesn't even turn and look at him, and it's over that quickly. And that's how she dies. So Tom Clancy, I've noticed, will make mention of things, and you have to pay attention because he will circle back to them a little bit later. One of the things that he mentions is how Pam has sleepy eyes. Kelly notices that Pam, who is not a hitchhiker, has sleepy eyes at a certain part of the day that he's not expecting her to have sleepy eyes. A little bit later, we find out the reason behind that. And so it's really interesting how he circles back to little things that he makes mention of. I've mentioned before that it's been a while since I read a Tom Clancy book. It's probably been about 15 to 20 years since I read a Tom Clancy book. He was my father's favorite author. And I respect my father's choice in reading. He introduced me to John J. Nance, who I love. If you like books about airplanes, firefighting with planes, Fireflight is a good one. Just warplanes and, you know, planes in general. He's a really good author. Louis L'Amour. My father liked Louis L'Amour. I like Louis L'Amour. It would make sense that I would like Tom Clancy, especially since Hunt for the Red October is one of my favorite movies ever. But unfortunately, I've never read it. I do mean to read it here shortly. There is a problem. So going back to storms. So there's a scene, and it should be a sexy hot scene. It is two people on the deck of a boat. The anchor's been thrown overboard, and there's a storm. So it should be just hot, right? Okay, so it itself, it is. But knowing what Pam has escaped, her being on the highway, first of all, and then getting in the car with the first man who stops and offers her a ride, asking him where he's going, getting excited about being alone with strange man on a boat and going to strange man's island, and giving herself to him in the middle of a storm on his boat while they're alone. It doesn't make sense to me. And so I'm hoping that we're going to circle back to that. I know that there's a lot of he was lonely, she was lonely, he was broken, she was broken. They saw the brokenness in each other's eyes. I just can't make it make sense in my head. Maybe it's because I'm a woman. I don't know. But what should have been like, and you know, I don't read romance, but what should have been a really romantic, hot scene, it was just overwhelmingly, how could he write this? Like, did it make sense in his head that Pam just escaped what she escaped from and then went and slept with this guy? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But other than that, I am really into this book. I think that he's an excellent writer. And I'm really looking forward to making my way through that, and then probably moving on to Hunt for the Red October, since we know how I feel about submarines. I love submarine movies. I love Hunt for the Red October. I love the soundtrack to it, but I also love like U571. I think it was Greyhound, Grey Wolf, something with Tom Hanks on Apple. I love all the submarine movies. Thank you to those who have mentioned that they loved my poetry and they want me to start posting the poetry videos again. I wrote one this week. I might post that this weekend. And also, I got a ticket. I got a ticket last Friday. I was speeding. I was going 68 and a 55. It was horrible and really embarrassing. And then I got stopped again yesterday, going 68 and a 55. Same thing as last week. Last Friday I was driving my son to get his phone, and then after he got his phone, I was driving him to his job, and I got stopped. I wasn't paying attention until I saw the cop, and I looked at my speedometer, and I was like, oh no. And then yesterday I was in an argument with somebody, and I was on the phone, and then as soon as I got the phone, I was driving, and I was crying. And so I think the fact that I was already crying when the cop stopped me is actually what got me out of the ticket. And now I feel like a horrible person because I got out of a ticket because I was crying and I was speeding for the second time in a week. Anyway, it's been a week. And then I lost my keys to the house. We still haven't moved into the house yet. We are moving piecemeal, slowly, a little bit at a time. But we're literally just like in checkers, you're hopping over something. So we're moving from that side of my father-in-law's house to that side of my father-in-law's house. It's basically on the same piece of land. So we're not in too much of a hurry there. That's about all I got for you. But thank you so much for watching. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. Like and subscribe below.